Hello friends! In my last React video, Holly and I touched on a little bit about people taking your photo in public places and a little bit about that, and I realized that I have a lot to say about it and a lot of insight, being as I'm somebody who's very frequently photographed in public without my permission, and I also am a photographer. I've looked over my experiences throughout the years, both myself and what I've experienced with other people in alternative fashion communities. This advice is coming from stuff that I have seen in the looted community and with cosplayers, but I think that it can be used for anybody, anyone who dresses alternatively. This video will cover a bunch of advice for those of you who dress alternatively and may be confronted with strangers taking your photo, and also for people that are interested in alternative fashion and see people walking about and want to take their photo and how to approach them. Along with all of this advice, there's a secondary category that kind of juxtaposes the advice. There's another column to consider that I will probably repeat throughout this video. And that is, you can do everything right. You can be polite, you can be nice on either end of this, and you can try and have all the right dialogue and be polite and do everything great, and sometimes you'll just still have a horrible experience because some people are just dicks. Sometimes people are just awful. There are some people in the world who are just awful human beings, and you can try as hard as you can, and you may not get through to them ever, or it might take a really long time to get through to them. And the most important thing to remember when it comes to that is don't let them discourage you. Even if you have multiple encounters with terrible people, don't let it ruin you. Don't go into new situations holding that grudge against new people, because you never know, the next person that you might encounter might not be a dick, they might not be terrible. When it comes to people being dicks, it goes both ways. This is why it's so important when somebody takes your photo without permission that you don't get angry at them, you don't throw a fit, don't yell at them, because you're representing your fashion community, you're representing alternative fashion as a whole, and if you snap back at the person who's taking a photo of you, will just encourage them to continue to take photos in the future without permission, because then they're gonna feel like if they ask the person, they're going to be retaliated against, they're going to be afraid. It's better instead to talk to them politely and as calmly as possible, ask them to ask for permission in the future, and maybe explain a little bit about your fashion, and ask politely why they were taking your photo and if they're interested, and then maybe turn it into a way of you trying to educate them about your fashion. It's a tricky situation because a lot of the time people will take it as an attack, even if you're so polite. And best case scenario, they will learn from this, they will listen to you, but a lot of times people will be defensive, and I've encountered this a lot. But it's something that sucks, and in order for us all to get on the same level, it's necessary to just try to communicate this with them. Even if they're taking a photo of you because they think that you're weird, that's a strange thing, if you then come at them politely and calmly and try to educate them, it kind of disengages that weirdness, and then they start to see you as a person. People often make fun of my Minty Mix wigs, and I take that opportunity to then say, actually, I love my Minty Mix wigs. Here's where you can buy them. And then they're like, oh, well, she's unaffected by me saying this negative thing. Huh. But again, you can do your best and try to explain to them, and sometimes people still won't understand, or they'll try to fight you on it because some people are just dicks. Let's go through a few reasons why people might be taking pictures of you in public. 1, they think you're weird. 2, they actually like what you're wearing and they want to remember it, or they want to look it up later. 3, maybe they do sort of recognize it and they have a friend who wears it, but they don't feel that they're educated enough to talk to you about it, so they want to just take a photo. They're afraid maybe to talk to you, or intimidated. Some reasons why you should ask for permission when taking photos of people. They might not want their photo taken. So many people assume that because people are dressed up that they want to be photographed, they want to be documented, and that's just not the case. A lot of people just dress up because that's what they enjoy and they just want to be normalized. Part of them dressing up and going out is to try and kind of help normalize it, to just recognize that they are another fashion. And I feel that people are trying more to express themselves and just be seen as equals among people, so they may not want their photograph taken. Another reason is the person may have a job that is very much separate than how they dress. There's a lot of people who keep their career and their sub-style, their fashion, their hobby very, very separate. You want to respect their privacy and their job. They might be a minor. A lot of Lolitas in the community are minors, and they cannot give consent for their image being used anywhere or taken. You have to talk to their parent or guardian. They might not be feeling well. Little side personal note, if you ever see me in public, I do not care if you take a photo of me. I don't care. There's bad pictures of me on the internet. I post bad pictures of me. I don't care if I look bad. You can do it. You can post it anywhere. Do whatever you want with it. In my time as like a public YouTuber, J-fashion person, there's only been 3 times I can remember in which I declined a photo. And all of them, I was either rushing to get somewhere or I was very, very ill. That's something that's really important to remember, is that these people dressed up are people. They could be having different experiences. You don't know what their day is like. They may be super ultra depressed. Just because they look cute, it doesn't reflect how they're feeling, what they're going through. I remember there was a time I was leaving a convention and I had 102 fever and I was really ill, and I had to also get to the airport, and I ran into some Lolitas and they asked for a photo, and I said, I'm sorry, I really can't, I'm feeling really sick. And they were so understanding. And then I kept walking and I was taking off my wig and like taking off accessories because my body was numb and I couldn't handle having all this on me. And people that weren't Lolitas were then taking photos of me, and I was like, really? Can you not see from all of the visual cues that like I am ill? I am not well. I shouldn't be photographed right now. So also remember, even if that person loves taking photos, you should still ask for permission because they might not be doing well and you want to respect their well-being. And this sort of ties in with the last one, but they might be having a really stressful or busy day and they just don't want to have this interaction right now. How to ask someone for a photo. Get their attention politely. Smile, look at them, wave, approach it very politely and kindly. This is for if they're like far away and don't see you. If you're close up, you can approach them and just speak. I mention this because do not touch or grab people. Ever. Just don't do it. I'm so sorry to bring this up, but there was one time that a very lovely fan grabbed my shoulder in the subway, and I had headphones in.
At the time I was listening to my favorite murder. This is not a good combination.
And they grabbed my shoulder, and when that happens, my instinct is to punch you in the face because somebody's grabbing me, so I go into fight mode.
I didn't punch them, but it was very jarring.
Even if someone's listening to headphones, walk in front of them so that they can see you and just make gestures. Probably more low-key than that, but
people wearing headphones often don't want to be interrupted, so be careful and cautious.
I've also worked as a character at a theme park, so I'm very accustomed to people taking photos of me, like not asking, just kind of like walking up and doing it. And I have always dealt with it, but anytime someone touches me or like tries to grab at me to be in a photo, that's when I'm like, nope, no. At conventions and stuff too, if you come up and ask me, I'll take a photo with you. If you come up and immediately touch me, nope. The things that I've encountered when it comes to people touching you immediately is that there isn't really any kind of boundary there. So if the first interaction they're having with you is touching you, then who's to say what else they're going to do? You really can't trust them, and it's not a comfortable situation. So I always shut down when someone right off the bat touches me. And I am a very huggy person. I'm a very feely person. Like, if you just ask, if you just come up, like, I will hug you. You can touch me, that's fine. It's the point where you have to just ask for that consent, just always. Because if you don't, then the person has no trust with you. You haven't built that barrier of trust.
If you forget or touch someone by accident, apologize so they know you are aware that you made a mistake.
Back to the, okay, that was a little bit of a side tangent. Back to the task at hand, how to ask them for a photo. I feel like a great deal of the people that need this advice are probably not going to see this video because they don't know what Lolita is, they don't know what J fashion is, or they're not really looking for alternative fashions. Maybe this will be a good tool for you to share with people. How to ask for a photo. Start off, just be as calm and polite as possible. Realize that you are intruding into their privacy, into their personal space, and so you want to approach that really delicately, very politely. It's really important to explain your reasoning, why you want to take the photo. It's great if you can offer up a little bit of knowledge to show that you are aware of what they're wearing. It helps greatly if you lead with a question or a compliment and ask maybe if they have an Instagram or some sort of public platform where you can see their photos. When you ask for somebody's photo, don't assume that the answer is yes. Always go into it with a 50-50 of maybe they'll say yes, maybe they won't. Be prepared if they say no to just apologize for taking up some of their time and move along. Just drop it, leave it. Don't try to pressure them, don't make them feel weird. Maybe ask them something like, oh, that's okay. Is there something that I can look up to see this fashion online? Is there any resources that you have? How to say yes to a picture and how to say no to a picture. When someone asks for a photo of you, it's pretty easy to say yes, just yeah, sure, and take a photo. I find that it always helps to thank them for asking for permission. This really re-encourages them to continue to go out and ask people for permission before taking photos. It will help them feel more confident to treat people better. They'll realize that, oh, I did the right thing by asking for permission, and continue that behavior, hopefully. And you can also take a little bit of time to explain what you're wearing, why you're wearing it, maybe what you're doing if you're at like a meetup or something like that. You can take that as an opportunity to just share the fashion that you love with them. This, of course, isn't necessary, but it's always great to expand on a good interaction with somebody. If someone asks for a photo of you and you don't want to have a photo taken, the easiest way to get out of it is to make an excuse that you have to go. Just say that you have to meet up with somebody, or you're trying to find someone, or you're in a rush. It's somewhat of a lie, but if you're uncomfortable and you just want to have the minimal amount of talking with a stranger as possible, just saying, I'm sorry, I really have to go, and get out of there. Also, this is such a minute thing, but if you see someone taking a photo of you and you don't want them to take a photo of you, covering your face is the best way to do it. And I found that if you do an action like this, where your hand is outward towards them and kind of like pushing away, it will often prompt a more aggressive response from that person. Whereas if you do a gesture that is more inward, your hands turn towards you, and kind of try to make yourself small, it may make you be perceived as weak, but it's more likely that the person who's taking the photo won't react in an as aggressive manner. Most normal good people will realize, oh no, I've made that person feel uncomfortable. They look sad or upset. I shouldn't do that. But again, of course, sometimes people are dicks and they won't care. I'm hoping that this will just decrease the likelihood of you having an altercation with a person. If someone asks for your photo and you don't want to have your photo taken, try not to argue with them. Try to go towards it in a way that's very apologetic. This will greatly decrease the likelihood of them retaliating or being aggressive towards you.
I know this might be hard to hear, because you may not want to be apologetic, because you aren't in the wrong, but I'm offering this advice in hopes of protecting your safety.
And stick to your word, and even just repeat over and over, like, I'm sorry, I don't, I'm sorry, I can't, I'm sorry, I won't. Sometimes people will use weird techniques to try to guilt you into taking a photo. It's sort of hard for me to give advice on this because I'm very confrontational as a person, and if there's something that I don't want to do, I don't have a problem just saying no and repeatedly saying no. But I know that this is often very difficult for other people. My advice for a situation like this is just to stick with what you are saying and repeat yourself, because if you stick to it and just say, no thank you, I'm sorry, I don't want to be photographed, and then they try to egg you on, no thank you, I'm sorry, I don't want to be photographed. Nope, I said that I'm not interested. no thank you, and just keep repeating yourself, it makes the other person who's pressuring you, who's trying to guilt you, seem a little bit crazy, and other people around you may pick up on this. Maybe the person who's pressuring you will then start to realize, oh wait, they've said no at least 5 times. And this, I know, is hard for somebody who's not confrontational. In this moment, if this happens to you, just think of me in your head telling you repeatedly, stick up for yourself, just stick to your story, keep repeating it, stay with it, keep going, get it out, don't sacrifice your own feelings to impress somebody else. Just keep that in a loop, just me telling you over and over, just put me in your head. And in these sorts of situations, by you maintaining your polite demeanor, by remaining calm, it will make you be the bigger person in this. And I know every mom has said that, but it's true. And other people will witness this, and it may affect the other person later, and they may realize their mistake. There is or was a common practice among Lolitas where when someone took a photo of you without asking for permission, the Lolita would then take a photo of the person taking the picture, like a Lolita snapback, I think it was called, and there was a whole Tumblr devoted to this. I actually participated in this for a little while. I would take pictures of people who took pictures of me. The whole premise is that you take a photo of the person who's taking a picture of you so that they know what it feels like to be photographed without permission. I guess on some rare occasion, the person would then realize, in my experience, most of the time, everybody just then retaliated, and you would have those arguments of people saying, well, you're dressed up, so you should have your picture taken, and it makes me okay to take your picture, and legally this and legally that, and blah, 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 blah. And it just comes down to 2 wrongs don't make a right. If someone's taking a photo of you without permission, and then you take a photo of them back without asking them for permission, then how can you expect them to ask for permission? Because you're not doing what you preach, you're just doing what they just did. This might be an unpopular opinion or unpopular advice. It just doesn't have a good outcome, and it's more likely to cause you more chaos. A lot of people on both sides of this, when it comes to taking pictures, will try to argue what's legal and what's not legal, and this is really tricky because it varies from place to place significantly, and whether something is legal or not, there's still common decency and wanting to respect your fellow human. It's not illegal for me to go outside and start eating dirt, but should I do that? Probably not. There's another argument that I have encountered, which is from photographers, and that is the idea of taking candid photos. Oh boy. If you want to use those photos in any sort of way, you're gonna have to get the consent of the person in them. I think that the best way to take candid photos of people is to ask them, and then just go out and have them do things candidly and capture it. Some photographers may argue that, well, now the person's aware that their photo is being taken, so they might be stiffer. And to that I say, too bad. So what? Without them, you don't have a subject. You don't have anything to photograph. They should be aware of what they're doing. They're providing you a service. If you don't like that they seem stiff or unnatural, then go hire a model. Go put out an ad asking for people. Offer your services to people that willingly want to have their photo taken. Ask that person if they have a community or a website or an Instagram or somewhere that they can connect to other people dressed that way who might want to have their photo taken. And I understand that it is difficult for photographers to get involved with Lolita fashion, Lolita communities, and that's because a lot of us have dealt with photographers. So it's gonna take a little bit of time to establish that trust, but establishing trust is so important, and you're not gonna get that trust unless you have mutual respect for these people and unless you have a conversation. The basis of this entire topic is just mutual respect. Respect for the person taking the photo, respect for the person who's in the photo. I hope that this has provided something helpful for you that you can go out and use in the real world, whether it is being photographed or taking photos of people. And of course, Remember, some people are dicks, but don't let them ruin every interaction for you. I would really love to hear from people in the comments who have taken photos without permission and like what they've learned from it, some of the experiences they've had, and also share some of your stories with people taking photos of you too. Let's all offer each other some support. And as always, stay lovely. Karilakuma, I love your hat. Can I take a photo with you?
Yes, thank you for asking.
Hey Karilakuma, I like your hat. May I please take a photo with you?
No, I'm sorry, I have to go.
That's alright. Is there anywhere online I could look up more information about that kind of hat?
There are cute plushes like me available on Jellybeat.com.
Thanks so much. It's that easy.